Hello, hello world. Blessings to whoever is joining us from the other side of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening if you're joining on from my GMT location. I'll go on to share while waiting for others to join us. If we have few people on board, then we are good to go. I just want to share this on my page. It's a new dawn, and we are trying to cope with the new normal. We need to cope because truly yours, COVID is a distraction. COVID is the highest distraction of our time. We cannot stop because of COVID. We keep doing what we got to do. Today we are coming live again to continue with our program on domestic violence. Do not violate me, for I am a woman. We know at the start of COVID-19 and lockdown, especially in the UK, the National Statistics Office gave some scary figures that the number of girls and women who are facing gender bias violence skyrocketed. And so we decided to come on board and talk about domestic violence. We have been doing that for a couple of months and we have not stopped. We'll keep talking because all of us have roles to play. Today we'll be talking about domestic violence and the role of the society. And before I introduce our guest, I just want to say for whoever is watching me for the first time, Emilian Grace is my name, director of That Name Woman, a CIC company registered in the UK, where we work with girls and women who are facing adverse, challenging situations or those battling shadows from the past. What we do is we try to help them build their confidence and self-esteem and bounce back. Today we'll be joined by a powerful woman. Her story alone speaks, but I'll let her introduce herself. Welcome to the show, Berry Naluva of Church Without Walls. Hi, Bishop.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. Good evening from Ghana.
Good evening, Emily and Grace. Good evening. You're so full of grace. God bless you.
Thank you, Ma. I'm honored. Thank you for that. I didn't introduce you because if I want to introduce you, I will not know the right words to use. So please, can you introduce yourself?
Before I introduce myself, I would like to tell you there are some women in Ghana who want to watch the program, and I don't know how to send them a Facebook link. So if you can please just put that, tag me on that link, I'm sure they will find it. On your
Okay,
Facebook page, yes.
okay.
That's
I'll talk to you.
what I'm trying to do.
All right. I will be doing just that while you go on and introduce yourself, ma'am.
I like to call myself the village bishop. I am just a woman who loves the Lord, and I love serving His children. My passion is to alleviate suffering, to help those who are suffering, either getting them out or to do something to reduce their suffering. That is my passion. And I think that that is what God is using in the kingdom today. He uses me to help those who are suffering to come out of their bondage. So that is me in a nutshell. I am a woman who has gone through a lot of difficulties, and I love my scars. I love my scars because they tell a story. If you do not fall, or if you have not been hurt, you cannot have a scar. But my scars are beautiful because they've made me stronger. That's all I can say about myself. I'm just a very simple woman. I'm sure that we'll get to know each other better as we go on.
Thank you for that powerful introduction. Yeah, I know you are using your story to heal the world. Only powerful people can talk about their failures, and you're one of those women. I hold so much respect for you, ma'am. In simple terms, before we start looking at the stigma surrounding domestic violence, in simple terms, can you just explain to us what is domestic abuse, domestic violence?
Domestic violence, as the word implies, is violence in the home, violence or abuse in the home. So, abuse of violence is the occurrence of attitudes or behaviors that demean another human being. So you see, when you have a home where people are treated less than they should be treated, then there is domestic violence or domestic abuse. And we have already learned from your previous programs that domestic violence could be passive or non-passive. So it can be silent, but there is abuse. It can be violent and there is abuse. So it is
Yeah.
not necessarily the raising of a hand on the other. It could be the using of the lips. It could be the not using of the lips. The way you treat anything that anybody does to treat another person less than they should be treated is abuse. And when this happens in the setting of a family, we call it domestic abuse or domestic violence.
Thank you. I like that definition because a lot of women out there, when you talk of violence, more often they look at the physical violence. They forget that emotional abuse is one of the things that affects a lot of women and girls out there. So I'm glad when you said it goes beyond the physical. Thank you for that. So if I ask you, what are the effects of domestic violence? Do you really think it's a choice for somebody to stay in an abusive, intimate relationship? Can it be treated as a choice?
I want want to say that abuse is cultural. Abuse is cultural. I want to give this background before answering the question if it is a choice.
Okay.
There are some women who go through stuff. There are some men who go through stuff in their own cultural setting that if I, as somebody from outside, is looking at them, I will call it abuse. But for them, it is the normal thing. And who really am I to tell somebody, oh, you're culturing abuse, until they are educated and their mind changes, then they can start thinking that they deserve to be treated better. So once a woman or a victim comes to the realization that I deserve to be treated better, then they want to do something about it. If you know that you deserve to be treated better, you will want to do something about it. And it is a choice then, because you know. If you do not know, then you don't have it. I deserve to be treated better. Then you have the choice of facing those issues and getting them fixed. And if once they are not being fixed, then you have to decide to leave. Because, permit me to say this, my dear sister, one of the causes of the abuse. So as people die from sicknesses, people die from malaria. Now domestic abuse has become one of those things that people die from. So if you can decide to cure yourself of malaria, oh, I have malaria and I'm going to see the medical doctor and I'm going to get medication. Once you know that you are in an abusive relationship, it is good for you to go and find the doctor to find a cure. So your cure could be counseling, your cure could be leaving the marriage, your cure could be a temporal separation. But once you have the idea that you are in a toxic relationship, you need to find a cure. You need to do something about it. Going out of the relationship is one. That is just one thing. It's just one of the solutions. But there is counseling, there is counseling, there is a family gathering. There are a lot of things that people should look into to know if leaving is the solution. Sometimes you have to leave. You have to. So it is a choice. Once the person knows, as long as they know that they are in a toxic relationship, it is their choice to find a cure or not.
Well, I like when you said everybody should tell people or show people how they want to be treated. And you have made clear to us that staying in a toxic relationship is a choice that you can decide to make when you have realized that your environment is toxic. What still do you really think is the cause of, what do you think is making abuse still common in terms of intimate relationship? what can be that cause?
Abuse is still common in some societies because, okay, abuse is still common in some societies, in some communities, in some countries because of gender imbalance. In some cultures, the male have been taught that they are more superior. Abuse is also common because there is an exchange in gender roles. This cause of abuse, the exchange in gender roles, is what we find in the most civilized countries, where women have taken upon themselves to do things that men should do. Let me tell you something, my dear sister. It is the responsibility of a man to love their wife to the point of death. It is a responsibility. But when this role is changed and the woman starts to love the man, then the woman starts to do the things that the man has to do. And let me not lie to you, men are opportunists. Once they see that you are the one who wants to do it, they leave everything to you. Let me tell you something. I counsel a lot of women. I'm not going to mention names. This one lady came to me. They've been married for 16 years, but she was tired. You know, I am leaving this marriage. What kind of thing is this? This man does not do this. He does not do this. I feel abused. I feel used. Because the woman is there doing 3 jobs and the man is just doing 1 job and staying home. And they have 4 kids to pay fees for. And so the woman started feeling used and abused financially because she was paying for almost everything. And so I asked her, I said, my dear, how did you meet this man? She told me. And then I said, the first day you people went for a date, what happened? She told me that the first day they went for a date, they took a taxi. And when they got out of the taxi, this man folded his arms. So she paid for the taxi. And when they went to eat, she paid for the food. That was their first date. My dear sister, the foundation was laid. From that day, that man knew that this woman was going to pay.
Wow.
So it came to the point now that they've been married for 16 years and she's still paying. And then she thinks now that she's been financially abused. And now she's financially abused. Why? Because she's the one who pays for most of the things. The man is not, and now she wants to divorce because that is financial abuse. So you see, this is the kind of abuse we find in the Western world. There are other types, but I want to bring the type that you and I may not see easily, you know, and what causes it. But if this woman stood her ground and said, hey, how can you take me for a date and let me pay? It does not happen in my culture. It does not happen. So I beg, if you cannot pay for a date, then there is nothing we can do. This man would have taken his stand. But that is how men are. You give a handshake, they take an embrace. True or false?
True.
So you see, in civilized societies, the exchange of gender roles is the cause of abuse. When the woman starts to do the things that the man should do. Let me give you another example. Another lady came to me, she said she's tired because it's true that her husband doesn't have a job, but he should wake up and do something. Then I said, my dear daughter, listen to me. He is sitting and not doing anything because you don't ask him for anything. When you want to go and do your hair, ask him for money, even though he is not working, because it is his responsibility to take care of you. Ask him. She asked the first week, the second week, the third week, I said, keep asking, even ask for money for groceries, even though he's not working. And so she continued asking, and this man woke up and went and looked for a job. I'm talking to you today, he takes care of his family. So you see, she was killing herself and working because she did not ask. This man thought that he should not provide. And so he was very comfortable because the woman was not asking. And that is another kind of abuse. Another cause of abuse. Women are abused passively a lot because, you know, if a man raises his hand against a woman, there will be physical evidence. And so there is legal things against this, you know. So now the abuse is more subtle. It's more subtle that in a way that you really need to know it to know that you are being abused. So the exchange of gender roles is the cause of abuse in certain societies, especially the Western world. However, in this part of the world where we are, gender roles have not changed that much. So abuse is more cultural. I don't know how to put it. This patriarchy belief, I am the man. I deserve, if I speak, you don't speak. This kind of abuse is also common in the Mediterranean. In the Mediterranean, I know this couple, the man had visitors and he said to his wife, go and make 4 cups of coffee. And the woman came and said, you asked for 4 cups of coffee, but there are 6 people. And the man said, oh, but I said 4, so go and make 4. He refused to change the number of cups of coffee just because he is the man. So in this part of the world, abuse comes because the man feels more superior. You don't challenge them. So in this part of the world, the men feel like they have the power on authority. The woman is their property. And it's because of this idea of bride price. I wish they would change the name, because when you say bride price, it's like you are paying for a bride. For crying out loud, who can pay for a woman? So I paid your bride price. You are mine. I have to do with you what I think I can do. So I think that women have to be taught. Women have to be taught to understand and to recognize abuse. Once you know that you are being treated less than you should be treated, you have to start looking for cure. You have to start looking for a solution.
Wow. Wow. It goes back, Bishop, it goes back to what you said, that you need to teach people how you want to be treated. Because in the Western world, as you rightly said, what we experience, or what many women experience, is the emotional and financial part of it. We are not yet to say men who don't face violence, domestic violence. Of course they do. but we know women, in every 1 to 4 women, you'll find abuse. So the numbers are really not the same. And now we are talking on the part of the woman. As I said earlier, the project is Don't Violate Me. I Am a Woman. Thank you for reminding us women that it's our responsibility and duty to wear our feminist energy. Need that. We must wear our feminine energy. We have to stop being masculine. Don't do what you shouldn't do. That goes to boundaries in relationship. You've got to know what is your role and play it the way you should play it. Thank you, Bishop, for explaining that to us. I know the society, Bishop, I know the society has a great role in why some women stay in their marriage, right? Can you agree with that? What's the role of the society in promoting domestic violence, in letting the women stay there, even if they find out that their environment is very toxic? Some stay because of the influence of the societal
The
beliefs.
line was breaking. I didn't hear you clearly.
Okay,
The line was breaking. I didn't hear you clearly.
I'm saying, can you hear me now? Okay, Bishop, I'm saying, what's the role of the
Ah,
society? We know there is a lot of stigma when it comes to domestic violence.
in the Western world, I heard you. I heard you.
Okay.
Oh, my dear, the society has created a lot of pretenders. The society has created um, people who live double lives. Like at home, they are not happy, and outside, they pretend to be happy. Why do I say this? The society has husbands. I don't want to say women who have left their husbands because of abuse. Just leave your husband, just decide to divorce. You are already stigmatized. Let this stigmatization is even systemic. Have you seen some forms, employment forms? They have status: married, unmarried, divorced. You tell me why I can only be married or unmarried. What has divorce got to do with it? But you see that in forms. You fill forms even at the airport, and you see that. Now, if they see a woman who feels divorced, what are they going to do with that information? So this thing is even this stigmatization, societal stigmatization is very systemic. You find it in churches. Let me tell you what churches do. Churches, most churches they're very gender biased. They say God hates divorce. And so they also say a wise woman builds up her home and a foolish one scatters it. So how do you want to divorce when the church will start looking at you as a foolish one? Emilian, are you hearing me?
Yes. I'm just silent, Bishop, because
Emilian, are you
you.
hearing me?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Bishop.
Imagine that you, okay, imagine you have a problem. Okay. Imagine you have a problem with your husband, and the person who has to counsel you, the person who has to solve this problem, already starts by telling you that a wise woman built up her house. It means that there is nothing wrong that the man can do. The decision to build your home is yours. And so many women do not want to appear like this in front of their so-called pastors, especially in this era when pastors are worshipped. But I'm sorry about that. They don't want to appear bad in front of their pastors. So they endure the divorce, the society, the Christian society, the religious society. I don't want to talk about the Muslim society because there they even tell you it's not abuse. A man will not treat you that way if he doesn't love you. So women endure violation and stay in such marriages because of this kind of stigmatization, which is not only among the people, it is also systemic. Some women stay in the marriage or in the relationship, especially when they are children, because they say, my children need me. And why is it like that? Because the society has made it in a way that once you leave your home, they make it difficult for you to relate to your children as a parent. But listen, relationship between husband and wife is different from relationship between mother and child. I have been unmarried for how many years? But guess what? I can tell you, my daughter tells me every day, Mommy, you are the best mother. Because being a wife is different from being a mother. And let me tell you, being a wife does not make you a good mother. So this whole thing of I'm staying in the relationship because of my children, I want to tell women to remove it from their heads. I can tell you that there are some children who would come out and be better people in the society if they grow up with one sane parent than to grow up with two parents who are one is being abused every day, toxic relationship, crying every day. That child does not grow up happy. So these women stay in such relationships because of stigmatization, systemic stigmatization, and societal stigmatization, religious stigmatization, cultural stigmatization. Women need to understand that the role of a mother is different from the role of a wife. And these two roles, yes, they can be played together, but there is something. These two roles are not related. That is why not every married woman has a child. But every woman can be a mother.
That's right.
So you don't need to be married to be a mother to your children.
Thank you, Bishop.
If the relationship is toxic, leave. The stigma is there, but it cannot affect you if you don't let it into your body, into your mind.
Thank you, Bishop, for explaining this deep truth. Coming from you, I know you are a member of the body of Christ, and a lot of a lot of pastors, a lot of reverends, a lot of bishops sometimes they say God hates divorce. So I like your boldness and I like the explanation you gave to that. Because as we all know, as much as God hates divorce, God hates abuse too. There is a question directly to you, but before I ask you the question, I would like to just greet and thank our viewers for taking time off to join the conversation. Hi, Sheila. Sheila says, hello, beautiful. And Loveling gave some hearts. Nyasha Mercy said, interesting topic. Thank you, Sheila. Sheila said, great content. Dorothy Diamond is great topic, ladies. Coming back to it. Coach Christiana tell us, amazing, very interesting topic. Sheila Wilders, and Sheila also said, wrong foundation. True talk. Dorothy Diamond continued to say patriarchy, chauvinism, and social stratification and gender roles, they leave women as victims. Dorothy continued to say, though some women abuse men too, especially emotionally. That's right. AC Mbeng says, amazing caution. It takes abuse for women to realize themselves. Wow. Wow, that's a good one. Rise up, babes, and be you. That was a reminder to all of us ladies. Rise up and tell people how you want to be treated. Rise up and teach them how you want to be treated. Dorothy says, Dogini, ladies, but interesting topic. Thank you, Dorothy, for doing two things as one in a go. We are all always ready to multitask when we find a need to. And Sheila says, deep truth. Ben says, deep truth. Ben says, great explanation. I pray many more women learn from this discussion. Thank you, Ben. May we just share with you so that one woman who is out there stuck in a toxic relationship because of stigma could look within them and decide on what is right for them and their family members. Ngalin says, great, sweet topic. Thank you. Network, yeah. Thank you. We can now hear Bishop. Okay. Sheila said, we can hear you. It was when you went offline. And Shita Doris says, but that's what is written, Proverbs 14, verse 1. I'll check that out myself later. Sheila says, true. Shita says, are you trying to encourage divorce? A bishop is meant to be a man of a wife. Isn't it written? Bell Sunki says, hello, I'm late. Thank you, Bell. You are not late. I know you're one woman who is totally against gender violence. Good to have you on board. And Loveline says, very reassuring. That's true, Bishop. I know a lot of women are stuck in toxic relationships because of what they think the society will say. A lot of people think it's just okay to address misses, but I like the way you went further to explain that being a good mother is different from being a wife, and being in a toxic relationship doesn't really help your child or you. But there is a question directly to you, Bishop. Are you trying to encourage divorce?
No, I am Chita Doris Fomenki. Doris Fomenki, I am not encouraging divorce. I am saying that if you are in a relationship and you think you are being abused, you should seek help. You should seek help. You should seek help. I am not encouraging divorce. But let me tell you what marriage is before you start castigating me, because that's what people do to men and women of ministry these days. Let me tell you what marriage is. Marriage is two people that God has put together for a purpose. If money or family or anything else put you people together and God did not, it is not marriage, not even the paper you signed. And why do we have abuse today? Because there are many people who went and signed papers when God did not put them together. If it is God who put them together, I am telling you, no matter the wave that rocks their boat, they will sail it. So for your information, dear sister Shita Doris Fomenki, there are weddings that immediately the pastor opens his mouth and says, with the powers vested upon me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Heaven starts to cry. The angels start to weep because God did not put those people together. So you see, if God put them together, no matter how rough the path is, they will fix it. If God put them together, they will not abuse each other to the point where one person has to think they are going away. So you see, this woman sitting here, I am not encouraging divorce. I am encouraging people to marry rightly. I am encouraging people to build positive and stronger relationship filled with respect, mutual respect. I think that is what I have explained. The explanation there is enough for our sister who thinks, who asks if I am promoting divorce. I am not, and I will never.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And Bell says, I am of the opinion that most women choose to be in abuse. We should stop giving society a bad name because society will only accept you the way you portray yourself. That's very true. I think we said that already before you joined, Bell. We said you need to teach them how to treat you. And again, if we talk of staying in a toxic relationship or divorcing, I really don't see the difference because some people, especially Christians, who say if you divorce, you go to hell. Trust me, if you are in a relationship that is toxic, is that not hell on earth? The moment you start being with a partner that you guys cannot even communicate rightly, you guys start sleeping in different rooms. You guys stop talking about things you should talk about. To me, that's divorce. It goes beyond that paper. There are a lot of times the moment you think you have left, because living really doesn't mean you leave a place, you leave spot A to spot B. The moment you start thinking this is not working, the moment you think you people cannot really compliment and move on, that's divorce. And I think nothing, no pretense will stop that. I know women, we are used to masking ourselves, we are used to masking, and we think we can keep hiding behind closed doors, keep hiding behind pain. But trust me, it's just a paper. If you think divorce is when you sign that paper, then it's a lie. Divorce happens even when you guys are still living in the same roof. So we'll not expect because this person is a woman of God, she will not be rational to say it as it is. Nobody's divorce. But sometimes, if you think your relationship is toxic to the extent where it can even take you to your grave, we see that every day, we see it in our community, then you yourself, you need to leave. Living starts with the mind, and you can experience it physically. Bishop, I know time is not so much on our side. I want to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. I know. I'll not take the cat out of the bag, but I know you, and I know you experienced domestic violence in the past more than once, more than twice, and you decided to leave. As a woman of God, you as a woman of influence, I know you definitely face some stigmatization, harsh members from your community and from the world at large. How did you live? How did you look beyond the stigma and still move on? If
My
you don't
dear,
mind,
my dear sister, let me tell you first. You see, I was so abused that it is the abusers who left. Oh, I did not leave. They are, they are the ones who packed their bags and left. Like, what kind of woman is this? You see, in the whole of this thing, if you know the cause of the abuse, you can, for example, let me say something. If you know that you live in a place where it's mosquito infected and that is why you are having malaria, there are two things. You can leave the place or you can fumigate the place. You get it? My dear sister, the cause of my own abuse was more spiritual. If you know that the cause of your abuse, if you know where the abuse is coming from, you will face it better. That is in my own case. I prayed until the people packed and left. The husband packed his things and left. You know, and I didn't drive him home. I was just so humble that this man started thinking this woman is not normal. But I knew what I was doing. That is it. Me, I didn't leave. But after he left, the very people you turn to for support, our own, if you start looking at your family and your friends and you think they'll support you, you are lying to yourself. There are those who will dig your grave deeper. It was my own Cameroonian sisters, my own people that knew where I was at the time. When I called them and told them my problem, they are the ones who dug the hole to put me inside even deeper. Wonder how they managed to have contact of my ex-husband, I don't know. When they call me and they see me crying, they'll even take pictures of me crying and send it to him.
Wow.
A Facebook page was even created, and women were telling me, good for you, you married him because of money. Can you imagine that? Our own sister. So this is it. My dear, you are the one who is in that marriage. You are the one who knows where it hurts you. When God gets you out of it, don't look around. If you want to look around for support, go to organizations, go to people, organizations, don't go to individuals. You can never trust them until God leads you. Until God leads you to a particular person who will bear your burden, help you to pray and fast, put a shoulder for you to cry on. I was stigmatized, but guess what? I buried my head deep, focused on the work that I know God has called me to do. And today, I stand up even taller after the fall. And I believe that I went through that kind of experience because God was going to use me to help other relationships become stronger. That person asking whether I am promoting or doing what with divorce, I have counseled people who had put in their divorce. After counseling them, they went and withdrew it. So it is not a matter of what I always do. Let me say this before we close, my dear sister. What I always do when people come to me for counseling, the first thing is I fast and pray and ask God if that marriage is from Him. And once I know that that marriage is from Him, no matter what the man is doing or no matter what the woman is doing, we will fix it. And I always tell them, this marriage is from God. There is nothing you should do to scatter it for what God has put together. Let no man, not even you or your husband, should put asunder. So you see, how did I get through my stigmatization? I just buried my head into what God showed me. I have called you for this purpose. I did not care what other people were saying. I focused on my work.
Thank you.
Is there any other question?
Yes, there is one last question, but before I ask you that, let's see what our viewers are saying. Chita said, okay, thought so. So she's saying she's not castigating you. She just wanted to know, and I think she's okay with your explanation at the moment. Ben says, sad truth. I can attest to that, Bishop. Bell says, that is right. Relationship is the foundation. And just like a house, a foundation that is not solid cannot carry a building. Chita says, oh, I see now where the idea of living is coming from. Bell says, I beg Bishop not kill me with street. Say an abuser leaves, not the abused. That was funny. I thought I was loving myself when you said that. So we have had the Bishop, I think everybody goes through some situations in order to help people, because usually after the crushing comes the oil. And thank you for standing the gap for women who are going through abuse. We have all learned that we need to let people treat us the way we want to be treated. We as women need to keep wearing our feminine energy. We don't need to be masculine. The things that should be done by you, do it. Leave others to do what they have to do. You don't need to be a doormat because you are a Christian woman and you're scared that people point fingers at you with the pretext or using the Bible verse, God hates divorce. I come today to say God hates abuse too. And what happens if you stay in that abusive marriage and all of a sudden you cut short your destiny? The same people who are saying God hates divorce will not be happy with you. We have heard from Bishop, who is a living testimony of the stigma she had when she had to leave. But still, she said she buried her head deep because she knew she has a role to offer to her world. And her abuser left her. We are not here to promote divorce, as she said, but we are here to remind every woman, every man who is going through abuse, be it physical, emotional, psychological, or what you might be facing. If you think it's toxic, please, you don't need to cut your destiny short. There is still life out there. We are not saying marriage is an achievement. And at the same time, we are not saying marriage is not an achievement. We are just saying be careful with your relationships. Try to get into right relationships. There are some relationships that are really, really toxic and can kill you before your time. So, Bishop, there might be a woman out there looking at you and thinking she could leave, but I'm stuck either because of the children, because of the properties we share, and because of what the society will say about them. If you find a person who is afraid to leave because of stigma, because of what their religion say, because of the children, because of what they have achieved in partnership, because they can't carry their heads up, because they are afraid to bury their heads in shame. What will you tell them? What will you tell a
There is
woman
a,
who is
there
going
is
through
something
abuse?
I there is something I always do when I meet people like this. I take my time to pray for them without them knowing. And what God has done is this. Now, listen to me very carefully, my dear sister. In the book of Genesis, when Adam and Eve they ate the fruit, and then God came and told them their consequences. This is what He said to Eve. He said to Eve that your desire will always be to satisfy your husband. Emilienne, that was not a blessing, it was a curse. So I start to teach women that you see that thing there because many women use it. The Bible says that my desire is to satisfy my husband. Yes, it is a curse because you disobeyed God. Eve disobeyed and God came and told her that. So do you think that that is a commandment? It is not a commandment, dear Emilienne. It is a curse. So I start teaching them this. And then I bring it to the point where God says, I am your husband. Jehovah is my name. When women would start to love God as husband, divorces and abuses will reduce. Many women only know God as creator, as master, as savior. But he is saying, I am your husband. So this is what I do. I teach these women that God is their husband. When they learn to love God as a husband, God will fix their homes. And that solution works. Many women don't know how to love God as a husband. But when they learn it and they grasp it, God starts fixing their homes. So I don't have anything to do. I only show them the direction, how to love God as a husband. This is a topic for another day. How to love God, your husband, he means it. When he says, I am the husband of the husbandless, he means it. How do you love God as a husband? When women start putting God as their husband before the physical ones, God starts to fix their home. Hallelujah. And they come back dancing. So that is my strategy.
Wow. Thank you, Bishop, for coming out to enlighten us on some deep truths. We can't deny the fact stigma is one of the main causes. A lot of women stay in abusive relationships. We appreciate your time and we hope we'll have you again to continue from where you have ended. But for today, I want to say thank you. And to our viewers, I just want to say in this day and age, please, ladies, let's be able to use the social media wisely. Gone are those days where you stay in an abusive relationship because you want to be addressed as Mrs. Of course, yes, as the bishop said, people will say God hates divorce. But the moment you people start hating on one another, the moment you stop doing the things you used to do together, I assure you that marriage is already void in the eyes of God. And if you are going through abuse, please remember there is help out there. Don't die in silence. Abuse needs to stop, and all of us have our roles to play. We need to break the silence. We need to break the circle. We need to speak out in love. If you're passing through abuse, just check around your community, check around your environment. There will always be help. For example, those living in England, if you're passing through abuse, just go to the next pharmacy and ask for Annie and you get help. There are numbers on your phone, you just dial and the police will come to your doorpost. Please do not cut short your destiny in the name of wanting to stay in a toxic relationship. There is always help needed. There is always help out there. Stop dying because of stigma. It's your life and you are the one in that relationship. If you think the relationship is causing you more pain than joy, then please be free to live. Because you are a woman, you shouldn't be abused. Yes, even men, nobody should abuse another man. be it a woman or a man. We continue with our program, Do Not Violate Me. I am a woman. Until then, we'll come with another episode in the coming weeks. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining the conversation. It was a privilege to have you watching from the other side of the world. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your evening.